So tonight we're going to start in the Old Testament in the book of Ruth. It's a great book, and it's only 4 chapters, so that should take us about 4 months. It's really a love story, and it's a love story in the earthly sense of Ruth and her mother-in-law.
Yes.
How she
Naomi.
loves her.
Naomi, right?
Yeah. Ruth loves her mother-in-law to death, literally. And then Ruth falls in love with Boaz, and they have a wonderful relationship. But the most important relationship is a relationship that Ruth has with God. Because she comes from Moab. And Moab is a place where they do idol worship. The reason why that city is called Moab, because when Lot left Sodom and Gomorrah with his daughters, they went up into these mountains in a cave, and the daughters thought, we're never going to be able to have any children. So they got him drunk and basically raped him.
Oh my.
And so one of those children is Moab. And that's where the Moabites come from. Okay, so we're going to start in Ruth chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. So it says that this happened during the time of the judges. Well, this book, Ruth, comes right after the book of Judges. But it says it happened during that time. So a very likely time is during Gideon's time, when the enemy had destroyed all their food. Okay? And it says that they're from Bethlehem, Judah. So Bethlehem and Jerusalem, these are all part of the allotment of Judah. Of the 12 tribes, when they came into the land, they each had allotments of certain portions of land. And that's why they're calling this Bethlehem, Judah. And Bethlehem means, Beth means house.
House of bread.
That's right.
Wow.
And Lehem means bread, means house of bread. And interestingly enough, with Christ being born there, and he is the bread of life, right? Okay, and then Judah means praise. Think about it, they're so poor that they can leave actually where they're living and go to a foreign country just to eat. That's how poor they are. Verse 2, and the name of the man was Elimelech. Elimelech means, my God is king. And the name of his wife, Naomi. And Naomi means, my joy. She was a very joyous, happy person with a beautiful disposition. And the name of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrodites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. They ended up staying there for like at least 10 years. That's a long time to be away from home. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died. And she was left and her 2 sons. So she's just alone there with her 2 sons. Has anybody here had a husband die?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what she's suffering. She's not even at home. She's in a strange land, and now her husband has died. And then verse 4. And they took them wives of the women of Moab, because that's where they were. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died. Okay, this poor woman. First she lost her husband, and now she lost both of her sons. You've got 2 sons. Think how devastating that would be to lose both of your sons. That is really, it's something I don't even want to think about. You know, the parents are the ones who are supposed to die first, not the kids. That's the way it goes. And when it doesn't go that way, it's very painful for the parents. And the woman, Naomi, was left of her 2 sons and her husband. So now she's a widow, and those 2 girls are widows too. Then she arose with her daughter-in-laws, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord, this is specifically Yahweh, had visited his people in giving them bread. So they're getting grain, and now they can make bread in the house of bread. But it says the Lord did it. This wasn't just like, oh, nature just caught up with them. No, God made it happen. And what I want to tell you is, Naomi doesn't realize this, but God is in control of everything that's going on here. So she went forth out of the place where she was, her and her two daughter-in-law with her. And they went on the way to return into the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord Yahweh deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. So she's saying, you were so kind to my sons, and you've been so good to me. I want God to be good to you, and I need for you to just go back. She didn't want them to suffer being unmarried. And we'll get to that in a minute. But you know, how many daughter-in-laws and mother-in-laws have this kind of relationship? It's amazing. It is. Verse 9, And the Lord Yahweh grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband, meaning go get new husbands. Go get married. Don't come with me. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. The girls are like just crying to high heaven. They don't want to leave her. They love her. They don't want to leave Naomi. And you think about, they didn't have children yet. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that you may have husbands? I'm going to tell you what that means. In the law, there's a law called the kinsman redeemer. And it's actually Deuteronomy 25:5. And what this law is, that if there's a couple that's married and the husband dies and the woman hasn't already had children, brother can marry that woman. He's supposed to marry that woman and raise up children to the dead man's name. And if he doesn't want to, another brother could. And if none of them want to, the next of kin could. So it kind of goes down the line. And it's called the kinsman redeemer. And in Hebrew, it's called the Goel. And what this is going to portray is Jesus Christ having to become kin to us to redeem us. That's what this is displaying. Verse 12, Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, and if I should have a husband tonight and should bear sons, would you stick around until they were grown? Would ye stay for them to have a husband? That's because of that law. She goes, No, my daughters, for it's grieving me much for your sakes, that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me, Yahweh. That's her perspective. And I can understand why she feels that way, that the hand of the Lord has gone out against her. But God has plans. All things work together for the good to them that are the called according to his purpose. He can take something that's messed up and bring good out of it. And that's what he's going to do right here. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law a farewell kiss, and she left. But Ruth clung to her. Now, you got to understand, Orpah is going back to Moab. She's going back to idolatry. And we find this out in the next verse. Naomi says, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods, little g. Those are her, that's idol worship. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Don't urge me to leave you or to return from following after you. Now this is beautiful. She's making a vow right here, which I'm going to explain. But first I'm going to read it. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. And then she says, the Lord do so unto me and more, if I depart for thee any way other than death. So she's saying to God, just kill me if I leave out of this relationship. I'm never leaving. That's what she's saying. Now I'm going to go through each one of these. There's 7 parts of this oath, and I want to explain them. First of all, when she said, where you go, I will go, that's the first one. It just means, Naomi, stop. I am not changing my mind. Number 2, where you lodge, I will lodge. Well, this woman has nothing. She's going back to Bethlehem. She's chasing food. And she's saying, I accept your poverty. I'm going to stick with you even though we're broke. I'm going to stick with you. And now they have the same name. Okay, Ruth is part of her family. You got to understand that when we get to this part of this kinsman redeemer, she is part of Elimelech and Naomi. She is part of their family now, and the next of kin would have the right to marry her. Number 3, thy people shall be my people. Okay, she's identifying herself with Israel, with the people of God. This woman's coming out of idolatry, and she's willing to leave it all behind to stick with Naomi and her people and her God. Number 4, thy God, my God. So right there, she's made a commitment to God. She has faith in God, and she believes in God, because she says, your God is my God. And that decision to go with Ruth is more than that. Her decision of your God is my God is a decision for eternity. Right? Then she says, where you die, I will die, and there, it's okay. Where you die, I will die. That's 5. And 6, there I will be buried. She's going to be buried in the promised land. Okay, I want to tell you something about people wanting to be buried in the promised land. Abraham, he bought a cave in Machpelah. And he bought that cave in the promised land so him and his family could be buried there. Well, Jacob died in Egypt. And he said to his sons, I'll read it to you. On his deathbed, this is what he said. When his sons were gathered around him, when he was blessing them, he said, and he charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan. He wanted to be buried in the promised land. He wanted to be buried in that cave, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite for a possession of a burying place. So Joseph was in charge of this. There they buried Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah and Leah, and then they buried Jacob. Now, it's Joseph's turn to die, and he isn't in the promised land either. So this is what he tells the children of Israel. This is Genesis 50:24-25. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land. See, he knew they were going to leave. And he'll bring you to the land which he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 25, and Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones. Hence, saying, I'm not staying in Egypt. I don't care if it's 400 years later. Take my bones with you. And they did. And Jacob and Joseph were both made into mummies because that was the custom in Egypt. So it made them a little more portable. So it was important to be buried in the promised land for these people. And so I think it's interesting that Ruth says, I'm going to be buried there, because she's accepting that God, she's accepting those people, your people, my people. But the other thing is, I've seen a lot of paintings of the children of Israel coming out of Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, wandering around. Do you ever see the sarcophagus of Joseph? You don't, but they had it. They carried it. They carried it right into the promised land and ended up taking it to Shechem, which was a parcel of land that had been given to Joseph. So, let me get back to Ruth. So what's interesting about what Ruth says is that when she said, if I don't keep this oath, what I just said, the Lord do to me more also. But she says she says the word Yahweh. I am. She knew this. She knew who he was. And this is verse 18. So when Naomi saw that Ruth was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking to her. She realized she's going. And that's where we're going to end it tonight.